welcome back to Lap of the World. I'm Richard, and this is my wife Liz. If this is your first time watching, this is the channel in which I'm documenting my attempt to drive every racetrack in the world. Now if that sounds fun, please click the subscribe button below and you'll get a notification anytime I'm able to check another track off the list, or if we post another video like today, where we are actually out not at a track, just driving around the mountains for fun. Liz here organized an event for the southeast region of the NSX Club, and it's some scenic drives and some good food, and she will now explain to you exactly what we're doing. Take it away.
So, as Richard said, we are driving on the mountain roads just for fun with potentially 20 plus of our closest friends.
Mm-hmm.
We actually don't have an exact head count at this point because random people keep contacting us and showing up. So, we have no idea. It could be anywhere from 10 to 30. But we are planning on driving on the missing link, which is the new section of Foothills Parkway, over to the old section of Foothills Parkway onto Highway 129, or better known as the Tail of the Dragon. After we go up the Tail of the Dragon, we're going to stop at Poco Lodge for lunch. Then more people are meeting us for lunch.
Yes.
And then we're going to continue on the Cherohala Skyway and back to civilization for dinner.
Yep, it sounds like a fun day. I think it's a
good mix of food and driving.
Yeah, and it's a good mix of roads too. I think the Foothills Parkways are very, they're your scenic cruise. There's plenty of pull-offs if you want to take the, landscape pictures of the Smoky Mountains. And you get to the Dragon, which is the really intense driving road, lots of switchbacks, 318 turns in 11 miles. And then we're going, transitioning from there after lunch to the Cherohala Skyway, which is similar to the Dragon. It's, there aren't very many connections to it. So you can drive spiritedly there in a safe fashion, but it's more flowing. It's more sweepers, less switchbacks. So I think it'll be a good all-around mix of the roads in the area.
Well, we do have a good mix of roads and also a good mix of cars coming. It's not just NSXs that are here. We had a Mercedes, Jag,
yep,
a Corvette,
F-Type, a Corvette. Now, most of these folks are NSX owners or have been, or are, close friends in the circle, so to speak. But for whatever reason, either didn't or couldn't get their car. I know one of them, their car was in New York and got delayed in transit back here.
They just got married and just came back on their honeymoon.
Yeah, so they've been busy. So we'll give them a pass for the Corvette today. But anyhow, we are about to jump on the Parkway, so we're going to probably stop talking. We'll stop talking to you guys for a minute anyway, let you just watch the scenery and get back to driving. So we'll pick you up at lunch. Built with the same ethos as California's Highway 1 or the Blue Ridge Parkway, but on a smaller scale, the Foothills Parkway winds through and shows off a small corner of the Smoky Mountains without being intrusive upon it. Authorized for construction in 1944 at a length of 72 miles, only 17 miles of the westernmost sections were actually completed by the time money ran out around 1966. Construction briefly resumed in the 80s before environmental concerns in a mere 1.65-mile corridor again stopped progress. Engineering studies in the late 90s found solutions, but completion had to wait for the much-needed funding that arrived around 2009. The missing link, as it's called, was finally completed, and 9 years later, in the spring of 2018, another 16 miles of the Foothills Parkway opened for traffic. The road here is very well kept and flowing, and the views from the numerous overlooked parking areas are expansive. We stopped at one of the larger ones to have a look before proceeding through the original section of the Foothills Parkway to where it conveniently terminates into US Highway 129 along the shores of Chilhowie Lake. From there, we paused briefly by the lakeside to reconsolidate our group before heading for Tabcat Bridge, the Overlook, and the Tail of the Dragon. This road probably needs no introduction, but for those watching from the West Coast or abroad, the Dragon, as it's known locally, is an 11-mile stretch of US Highway 129 that contains no less than 318 turns, many of which are switchbacks, most of which will kill you if you get them wrong enough. Deliberately paced to be spirited but safe, our Dragon Run took us across the Tennessee-North Carolina border, past the Deals Gap Motorcycle Resort and Tail of the Dragon store, to the historic Topoco Lodge where we stopped for lunch. All right, so we've made it to our afternoon break. We are at the historic Topoco Lodge up in I think the town by the same name, just across the North Carolina border on the US 129. So we are going to go. Liz and the rest of the crowd are already inside. She's taking care of the reservations that she set up. So I'm going to go join them momentarily. I just wanted to pause and give a quick update on our progress here. So it's been a lovely drive. We actually had a rarity, which is on a Saturday, a basically fully clear. I think there was one camper truck that pulled off for us, but apart from that, we had no traffic on the Dragon whatsoever. Made it all the way to the motorcycle resort and the Crossroads of Time with basically nothing in front of us, which was lovely. The weather continues to hold out for us today. You can see some kind of clouds blowing by. We got a couple of sprinkles a minute ago, but by and large, it's been beautiful. So far, great success. Once we finish with lunch, we're going to proceed on to down to Robbinsville, North Carolina, from which we will jump on the Cherohala Skyway, and that will take us up to Tellico Plains, I think is the name. Yeah, yes, Tellico Plains, which will kind of that will finish the scenic portion of the drive. After which, we'll all sort of just caravan back to West Knoxville for dinner, and enjoy that as well. So we will probably pick you up again from the road, and yeah, great event so far. So well done, Liz. The Cherohala Skyway is the Dragon's lesser known, but, if you ask the locals, arguably more enjoyable cousin. With far fewer switchbacks, better views, and still no tributary roads, it's a fun way to tour the countryside between Robbinsville, North Carolina and Tellico Plains, Tennessee. This was the last road on our official Scenic Drive route, a map of which I've posted in the video description below. After a brief stop in Tellico Plains, we continued on via normal roads back towards West Knoxville and our dinner venue. Alright, well, after driving the Cherohala Skyway back to more or less civilization, in some still pretty brilliant weather, I stopped back by the house and touched up a little bit before reconvening at Lakeside Tavern in West Knoxville, which, as the name suggests, is a generally pretty pleasant dinner location that overlooks a finger of the Fort Loudon Lake and a marina there as well. So we're going to go enjoy some dinner. I'm not doing a whole lot of vlogging this time. Liz is already inside taking care of stuff. So I'm going to go and find her. But we will probably, we're going to enjoy our dinner, and we'll probably pick you guys up at Cars and Coffee in the morning just to round out the weekend. Harper Auto Square's Cars and Coffee, to use its proper name, has grown from modest beginnings in 2012 into purportedly the largest event of its kind in the Southeast. By Harper's estimates, over 6,000 cars and 10,000 people descend on West Town Mall once a quarter to talk, gawk, and sip on some Joe. If you get there early, you're probably already late, but it's typically worth it as you never know who or what you'll see there.
Well, that concludes our weekend with the first annual TN NC NSX Mountain Drive. We might want to come up with a catchier name.
Yeah, I'll put that on the list.
So we ended up with about 15 NSXs for the whole weekend, which is pretty good turnout.
Yeah, for a first year event, that's I'd call that a success. We ended up with kind of a mix. We had 15 in total. And the way that ended up working out was we had 11 that joined us or met us along the way up in the mountains on our drive. 5 of those weren't able to make Cars and Coffee the next morning, but as it turned out, 4 additional NSX owners were able to come out to Cars and Coffee that weren't able to make the drive.
Well, in addition to that, we also had a drop-top Mercedes, an orange Jag, a purple Lotus, and a black Corvette on the drive.
So we had some owners and friends of owners who came along as well. So, you know, the more the merrier, really. And
we made it up the Dragon and a few others up and down without incident.
Yep, no one made any contributions to the Tree of Shame. So we'll call it a successful weekend from that standpoint as well.
And the weather was actually brilliant for the most part. Cars and Coffee, we lost a few because I think part of it, people were driving a long way and we were expecting some weather, and the weather didn't end up happening. So it was beautiful Sunday, it was beautiful Saturday, we had a little bit of rain, but it's mostly dry. Yeah, we got sprinkled on a little bit right after lunch, but you know, that was after the kind of really intense part of the drive. And yeah, Sunday morning, I think it held off until nearly noon. And that Cars and Coffee is one where, you know, I think a lot of people must have thought that when we put 5,000 cars in the event description for that, thought it was a typo, but not so much. They do it big here, and if you're there by 7, you're already late, even though it technically starts at 8 a.m. They were out of coffee by 8 a.m.
Yeah, they're already out of coffee by 8 a.m.
So, but no, I think overall it was a great event. We ended up having 20 people for lunch and 20 people with some subtractions and additions for dinner as well.
Yep.
No, I think it was great, and hopefully we can do it again next year.
Yeah, for sure. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed following along for this little, I can't say NSXcapade because somebody else has, I think, copywritten that terminology for something that happens in Florida, but...
for the yet-to-be-named event that happens in the mountains in Tennessee.
In Tennessee in midsummer, to-be-determined event. So yeah, but yeah, I think so. We're gonna call it a video for today, though. Again, hope you found it entertaining, and maybe if you are in the southeast region or within an easy day's driving distance of East Tennessee and Western North Carolina, you'll consider joining us next year. But for now, I'm Richard.
And I'm Liz.
This is Lap of the World, and we will see you in the next video, if not on the track, or potentially up a mountain.